Good evening and welcome to On Point's Opinion. I'm Bobby Kinzer,
I'm Juan Holcomb.
and yes, we are On Point Opinions discussing the hot topics of the day. We're here every first Sunday of the month. We hope you join in and tell other people. And like we always start off, we like to remind people to please click on the like button and the heart button where we can get more traction and exposure to more people. And also, we make this interactive in the way that we make this interactive on this show. If you use the comment box, please put messages. If you have an opinion or point you'd like to make, please put it in the box. Or if there's a topic you'd like for us to discuss, put it in the comment box. We would appreciate that. So Juan Holcomb, how you been doing, man?
I'm doing well, Bob, and I can't complain. I'm a little jealous. Bob is remote today down in Florida playing golf, so I am envious of that, Bob. But other than that, I won't complain. I won't
Oh, that's
complain.
a good thing because you know what they say when you complain, 80% don't care, and the other 20% is glad it's you. So spare yourself. But Juan, we didn't do New Year's because that was so close. That was New Year's Day, if I'm right.
New Year's Day,
But
correct?
we didn't do New Year's, so we skipped. But by skipping that month, it means that so much has happened in the last 2 months. It's
Mhm.
incredible, you all. We
Yeah.
living in some days and time. Now I know that modern technologies and because we're more connected and have more exposure. But Juan, something's going on, man, with
Mhm.
so much going. I think
Mhm.
there's just a lot happening.
Yes, yeah. The start of the year has really jumped into a myriad of things, Bob, and as you prompted out, I won't complain, but I will explain what is going on. Hopefully, as far as what we can see, Bob. But yeah, it's been essentially uh, we broadcast on, I believe, December 3rd. I think it was first Sunday in December,
Mhm.
and here we are in February. So yes, Bob, quite a bit has gone on, and Bob, why don't you jump into it and kind of we can have a list of some of the happenings since we've been gone. And believe me, folks, we may not have hit on some. It goes by so fast sometimes. It's hard to keep up.
Well, Juan, since the last show, there's so much that's been going on. But if we could just start with Trump announcing that he was running for presidency in 2024.
Mm,
That was a big one. Then
that's a big one.
George Santos out of New York was elected with his line behind.
Mm,
And then you had the Speaker of the House vote for who would become the Speaker of the House with McCarthy, which was a farce. It took them about 15 votes. Then we had the second round of the classified documents found. This time they were found in Biden's home, in his office, and now they have found some in the residence of Mike Pence.
and they
Everybody's
found
like,
and they found Biden in his garage, uh, by his vet.
yeah, and so everybody's like, is Obama next? Obama said, man, I ain't got nothing. Then you
He's
have,
high now. It's been quiet.
but I think they all got him, man.
Right, I agree.
But then you have the incident with the Buffalo Bills defensive back, Damar Hamlin, who collapsed
Mm,
on the field and just shocked the sports world, actually, definitely football, because they even canceled the game. I
mhm,
think it's the
mhm.
first time something like that happened
Came to a halt, didn't it, Bob?
where his heart had stopped and they brought him back. I think it took him
Twice.
twice on the
Mhm,
field, and that really affected players. And then we have these mass shootings. Well, what is going on with all
mm,
these shootings, man?
mm.
God bless America.
Terrible.
And then now the next thing is the state of the economy. A lot of people are worrying, are we going into a recession? Some people are saying, are we in a recession?
Hmm,
And
hmm.
then you got the debt ceiling. issue where the Republicans are refusing to raise the debt ceiling, which would cause us, the United States, to default on their obligations. And that's major. That will take a
That's
global,
crazy.
that affect the global economy, and it's so scary that they're threatening. It's amazing.
Hmm.
And then we have the Memphis police of the beating death of Tyree. I hope I pronounced his name right.
Tyree Nichols.
Tyree Nichols,
Hmm.
which was just, oh man, just terrible. And it was 5 black policemen. Well, we found out there was more involved, but
Hmm.
and but primarily 5, and that's a whole nother issue going on, Juan, that we're going to discuss about. That's a little social media thing going on right there. That there's some undercurrents of information that's, I think, they're holding back.
Okay.
Then we got the African American study AP courses where they the college boards is agreeing to people like Santos in Florida, DeSantis, excuse me, in Florida, talking about taking out the African American curriculum, African American studies curriculum in schools,
Hmm.
in colleges, and
Crazy.
and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. That's another one, Juan. We'll talk about what they just did with their curriculum, which where my
Wow.
daughter goes, Melody goes. Then you have Tom Brady finally retiring after 23 years, bless his soul. And Juan, catch this one. The Super Bowl is going to have, for the first time, 2 black quarterbacks to face off.
Wow.
Another historic moment for Black history.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be happening in
Black
Black History
History
Month.
Month.
And
I
then
didn't
the
even
last
got
one,
it. It just dawned on me that with that, Bob. So okay. Yep.
wow.
Yep.
And then the last one, Juan. There has been some severe weather patterns going around the country, man.
Mhm.
I mean, you're going from like 30 degrees, 20 degrees, and then the next day is 61 degrees. You're going from just rain and almost monsoon raining out California, raining out other places, and just it's really is questioning about this global warming thing,
Right. Right. Climate change.
climate change,
Mhm.
and all that, man. And people talking about it's not real. So that's the recap, ladies and
Woo,
gentlemen, of
woo.
just
Yeah.
some of the things. We missed a whole bunch of other things, and if you have some, please put them in the actual comment box for some that we've missed.
Yes. And
But
Bob, just like you said, that the weather, like having hurricanes or tornadoes this late in the season, just coming through what uh, they call it river. Oh, I was trying to the rivers in the sky, but they have a name for it. I forgot what they're talking about, man. So
right, I know what you're talking
just
about.
crazy. And monsoon rains. Yeah, it's really wild. But yes.
So okay, Juan. So let's
Okay.
start at the top with our show. We just between me and Juan, we come up what we think are the hottest topics of all the things that's going on, because that's what we are. We are a talk show talking about on point opinions. So let's start, Juan, with the hottest of all, I think, is the Memphis police, Black Memphis police. What's your take on that, Juan?
And just to paraphrase on what Bob said, you all, it is our opinions. But everybody has an opinion. Bobby, sadly, it's not a shock. And when I say that, I mean another beating death by police of a motorist, unarmed motorist, at a traffic stop. So that I just want to start off with that. It's sadly, it is not a surprise. What is somewhat of a shocker is that the Black officers that were precipitated the beating and perpetrated the beating, excuse me, and beat him to death. That was also a bit of a shock, and also very sad. But as Bob read through the list of events, I couldn't help but think, is this 2023 or 1953? So it's just stunning things about that, Bob. But it breaks your heart to see the brutality of what happened to Tyree. And as you said before, they are coming out. There's additional officers that have been let go from the Memphis Police Department. I believe a white officer, and I believe they would mention another one. Also with that, Bob, were several ENT. I think I said that right. But the folks the first responders to the scene, they were let go because of what their behavior at the scene and the lack of care that was given to Tyree. So there's just, it just exacerbates this one bad thing after another. And he was only about a block or so away from home or from his parents' house, his mother's
Well,
house.
well, for me, Juan,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one to be a conspiracy theorist. I ain't lying, but this is what strikes me, Juan, and I don't know, maybe it's just me because I'm quirky like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it was one thing that it was black police this time, being caught on film beating a black man, as they call black on black crime. But what I found so suspicious was how fast that they released. First of all, that they charged them
Right.
and arrested them, and then the next thing I find
And fired them.
peculiar, yes, that they released the video so fast, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we know some of these other ones, it took weeks, months,
Right.
year
Right.
to release the video, and these videos were released immediately. Now, some of my friends said, well, Bob, the police chief was a black female.
True.
But yet, I think the state's attorneys and the sheriffs and all that, they were Caucasian. But it just shocked me that to release the video, the fire, and so that happened so fast. I mean,
Very
is
fast.
there once again one some hidden racism based in there again? That's where I'm coming from, because I just think it's so ironic that they published stuff so fast, and the George Floyd and all those other videos we couldn't get, or the guy that was I forgot, was South Carolina, where the guy shot him, and the lady with the taser who shot the guy. Those videos didn't get a release immediately at all.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And Bob, I don't think you're off base. I think the speed with which they fired these officers and arrested them and charged them, and release of that video, as you mentioned, I have to think that would not have been done had it not been five or had not been black officers involved in this. And I say that not as just a conspiracy theory, Bob, but you have to look at other cases and make some comparisons. And I'll just quickly mention a case that happened in Monroe, Louisiana, several years ago, and they're still investigating it now. But it went underneath the radar for over a year. And what happened was a young man, I think the last name is Green, was traveling home or coming from Texas to Louisiana, and was pursued or stopped by these group of officers. And that's another thing. These officers in the Memphis were Scorpion group. Bob, we can talk a little bit about
squad that they created for crime to fight against crime, actually. Yeah.
And this group in Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, they were like the F Troop. I forget, it's been a while, but they beat this young man so bad and hog-tied him, which is legal in many police departments, where they tie your neck to your feet, and they dragged him across ground. There's video of this, and they beat him so bad and killed him, and then went to his mother's house and told the mother that he was in a car accident. And if it wasn't for the pursuit of a mother and some others, but it took them, as I said, this is a couple of years ago, if not longer, for them to even get and brought the trial back, the case back up. But it had gone completely underground.
Well,
And these officers are being investigated. I think it's gone federal. But I only point all that out, Bob, is to say that, yes, you're not a conspiracy. It's much different with these
well,
officers. It's unheard
so
of, really.
now I'm gonna play the angel's advocate because I don't believe in being the devil's advocate.
I agree with you.
Um,
Okay.
the Now this is a variable that changes things, Juan,
Hmm.
because the black woman who was the police chief
Chief. Hmm.
released this information, and coming from her perspective as a black female police chief, it seems that she was covering her behind why she operated so fast. So I don't know, can we say, oh, all of these other white police chiefs and everything, they did not release all this information so fast. It wasn't fast to have the human resources effect. But she was, to me, she was covering her behind. And is that just thinking of a black woman, or is that just thinking of a woman, or that just thinking well, they just don't do it in other
Right.
police departments. So
Right.
I don't know if that had something to do with it. She's just covering her behind. So Juan, now I need to follow up on this, but this is what's going around right now on social media. I haven't seen it hit the major media yet, so I don't know. I don't want to be spreading false information,
Right.
but it was said that the guy Tyree worked at um,
FedEx.
FedEx,
Hmm.
and one of the police officers who was beating him, his baby's mama worked at FedEx and was dating Tyree. And the word was that once they beat him, he had took a picture of Tyree and sent it to his baby's mama. Now that's what's been going around. I'm still trying to verify that
Hmm.
because other than that one, it gives no other understanding how if you watch the video, they just pulled him out the car immediately. They didn't tell him why he was being stopped. They didn't ask him for So it's like they just and it's everybody unanswered question keep going. Why did they proceed the way they did?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
thought at first it was because they thought it was some other suspect that they were going after, and it was a misidentity, but that
Right.
never came up.
Hmm.
So I've been wondering about this conspiracy, not conspiracy, this urban legend story that's going out there right now that he was dating one of the officers' girlfriend or
Mm.
baby mama. So stay tuned. I need to verify that, y'all. But it sure will put things in a little more perspective because they just pulled that guy out of the car, didn't tell him anything of why they were beating him. It seemed so preconceived.
Right. Well, Bob, you mentioned that to me before about that, and Bob, it did give a little more context, a possibility. I had that discussion with a couple of folks, Bob. I told them what you said, and that they immediately said, "Well, the vitriol and the hostility that they went at him with uh, was just something seemed to be motivating them beyond the normal. Although these traffic stops do turn deadly,
Yeah,
but
but they weren't
this is a
they
very
weren't
personal act.
they weren't even they were a squad that
Right.
was developed by the police department to
Squad.
handle the high crime that was happening, not no daggone traffic stops or stuff like that. So
Right.
that makes it dubious. But one, okay, let's
Okay.
go to our next topic, man. And the next topic is you
But,
all.
but but please get back to us on that, Bob.
Yeah. I'm gonna look
Right.
into. I'm gonna do some investigative reporting.
Ah,
So until then, well, let's switch into the one of our hot topics of all always on our list is politics. Now let's just go down the list. Let's just start with George Santos. Okay, what's going on with him, Juan? Please, the New York congressman that's the most lying. This mug lie like a rug, man. And he's in Congress, and they paying him $174,000 a year.
That's disturbing. The Santos case, I'm still trying to understand, in a world where we have technology, you cannot hide anything. Look, you already got a backstory to the beating of this young man. How could Santos go where everything he said about himself is not true? And his opponent in his race did try to investigate him, or brought up some things, but they just seem to dismiss it. Is some of this the fault with the media? Are they even looking at anybody?
Well, let me tell you what the theory is.
Anything?
Let me
Okay.
tell you what the theory is. Once again, the
Got
urban,
another one?
yes,
Yeah,
got another
urban
one.
legend. All right.
Well, how it got past the media, they say,
Mhm.
and the people up in New York, they said they first thought this guy didn't even have a chance of winning, so they
Because
ignored
he
him,
ran before and lost. That's true too.
and they ignored him. They
Right.
thought he didn't even have a chance in hell
Mhm.
to win, so they all that line and stuff, they didn't even pay any attention to it.
Okay.
But he seemed like he's using another page out of the Donald Trump book, lie, deny, and blame.
Mhm.
And but like this one senator, congressman said, he said, this is a little bit more than just lying. He said,
Yeah.
something's wrong with this guy. I mean,
Exactly.
he lies about, he'll lie about anything,
And everything.
He'll lie about the sky is blue, So, but we do know that, first of all, do you think they're going to catch up to him and get him out of there?
I'm not sure Santos can make it now. They're making it harder on him now, and I was surprised, Bob, that he now he's stepped off of his committee, and I didn't think he would do that, and that could be the start of things, because McCarthy knows are getting pressure from Republicans in New York, in that district. But that was a district that to what you were saying, that Biden won. And but that pressure, I'm not sure he's going to be able to survive this. And Bob, did you just hear that there has been a charge against him now for sexual harassment from an aide already? I'm like, he's
What?
only been there for a few weeks.
What? Look,
Right. Yeah,
look,
that
they were
just
getting
came
him
out.
for, he raised $3,000 for this homeless man and kept the money. And then Brazil, he was writing fraudulent checks, and they couldn't find him. He ran. They found him.
Right.
Then they said he was dressed in drag. He denied it, then came back and said, "Oh, it was me." So come on, Juan. So really, let's not spend no more time on this.
This sexual harassment case
But
might be his undoing too. So I don't think he's
I
going
think the undoing is going to be how he went from having just $55,000, making us $55,000, and the next year he ends up with $700,000 in his bank account. So
well, they're looking at
let's talk about
election fraud, and they're looking at that financing.
Let's don't spend no more time on that.
Okay.
Let's talk about why McCarthy is spending time with George Santos, because he needed his vote. I know it's been some time, you all, but we want to recap how McCartney was running for the speakership of the House, and this vote went, 15, 13? What is it? 15
votes.
15 votes. What? They couldn't find nobody better than him? And then I was insulted when they put the brother's only been in Congress 2 years, and they put him up there, man. I think he got 10 votes, man. You know what I said? As soon as I saw them, what they do, nominate him after Santos lost about 10 times. You know the first thing I said, Juan?
What's that?
Stop that daggone foolishness.
And then when it all said and done, McCarthy didn't put him on anything. Didn't give him a gavel.
No, Juan, see, I didn't look at that. I didn't see that one. No,
they didn't give him any.
Oh, that's cold.
And he said, people stood up for and said, we can't elect. Man, man, they had all that, and then he's gone. He's been relegated back to where they want him. You know,
Let me ask you something. Do you think this means anything, Juan? The Congress has Democrats have 53 black congressmen. Do you happen to know how many black Republicans in Congress there are?
I don't know. 3.
Does that not sort of size up everything in
Mhm.
2023? But Juan, come on, McCarthy, he done sold it. He sold his soul, Juan.
Yes,
Now all they need is one
to get
person,
him.
one vote. They can get him out. To bring it up to get him out.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
I'm losing faith in our system, Juan. I'm telling you, I'm trying to stay
well,
strong.
I think that's the point. I think they want folks to lose faith in the system. It seems like it is rigged. They still are talking about Trump and the big lie, but McCarthy is in there by a thread. He'd hate to lose Santos, and they have no, Bob. You and I talked. They have no agenda. They have no platform. They are really not going to govern.
But
I
how they
don't
getting
believe they're a
away with it
governing
though?
party
I can't understand how they are getting away. For the life of me, why help me?
because they have the things that they are running on and for. I think outweigh in some's mind the the work that's needed. I think people benefit from what Democrats do, but I think the Republicans
I'm saying why the
always
Republicans are doing what they're
culture
doing.
wars, the culture wars. Those are become great tools for them getting office, CRT, things like that, Bob. And I think that they feel that even though the midterms did not turn out like they thought, I think that they're doubling down
Well,
and they're
one,
going
this
after
is
those.
why I'm confused. This is why I'm confused right now. I'm on the fence right now.
Mhm.
And help me out because I'm not one to raise the race card. I ain't lying. But so I'm confused, one, because I'm not sure. Because I want to know why they're doing this. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
hurting people. And so I'm like, is it because of racism? And I said, no, 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 no. Maybe it's bigger than racism. Maybe it's because of power and
Power.
authoritarianism.
Hmm. Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
the far right
Power. Yeah.
power. Or maybe it's both.
Both.
Because other than that, Juan,
Yeah.
I cannot see any other reason. I mean, they put off the Democrats off the committees, Omar,
Yes.
off the Foreign Relations
Ilhan
Committee,
Omar.
Swalwell,
Hmm.
Schiff. I
Adam
mean, these
Schiff.
were powerful people that were doing great things, and they just doing vendetta. But
Vindictive things. Yeah.
Juan, help me out.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like this country should be in uproar. It should be
Mhm.
people speaking out, but everything's I look out the window and everything's quiet.
Hmm.
It's like
And
every man for himself.
all this is happening under the backdrop of January 6th, hearing people that are being arrested and or being charged with sedition and things like that. But I don't think it ever rose above the foot soldiers. And when it doesn't rise with the with the um, upper echelon, I think these are the problems you have. They defied subpoenas, and believe me, they will be issuing subpoenas for Democrats to testify
And they should
on
do
this.
this. So what do you think? Should the Democrats do what the Republicans did and plead the fifth?
Well, I mean, they didn't even get to the pleading the fifth. Many of them didn't even come in. I mean, this first time, congressional subpoenas used to be, man, people would never defy congressional subpoenas. Dozens of them did. If Trump showed that they should, hey, believe me, the Democrats will not defy a subpoena just because they did. They won't do it.
Oh, they try to hold up the what is it, the moral?
Right,
Uh,
right. They will
just
definitely
stop
not
that
do
foolishness,
that.
man.
And
Come on.
and
So
yeah.
So on this, since we're on the politics, let's talk about the other elephant that's in the room.
Mm.
Now, I'm beginning to think that you got some classified documents over there in your house, Juan, because everybody's coming out with stuff. I mean, God, that they came out Trump, now Biden.
Mhm.
And now they just found stuff in Mike Pence.
Pence, Vice President. So,
I'm like, what's up with these dudes, man, with the classified documents, man? So is this with Pence and Biden, is that going to err in favor of Donald Trump's situation?
well, damn sure on Hurdy. And I think that's what looks the worst thing, Bob, is that um, Trump is that after being very vocal on Trump, um here this comes up, and I would listen to some people of, talking about this case and that fact that they believe that many of these the politicians have classified materials or have taken them out where they're not supposed to be. But they also made a good point, Bob. They said there's something like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like 90 million, I mean, some crazy number of classified documents. There's so many of these documents shouldn't be
Right,
classified,
right.
just in people moving from office to office. It's hectic, that they take stuff out that they shouldn't. But yeah, this is nothing new. But there have been people punished at once again the lower ranks. So I think this maybe end up being a wash. I think a lot of wind went out of the sails for Republicans because they were coming for Joe Biden. One Fox News guy even said it. He said, "Oh man, we had, and then Mike Pence." It was funny. He couldn't
They're
help it.
hypocrites. Oh yeah,
He
they're
said it.
hypocrites, man. So Juan, do you think this is going to affect Joe Biden running for 2024?
I think it would have uh, definitely put a strong push for him not to. But I do think Biden is running, though, in my opinion, and I think he'll be announcing shortly after the.
Do you think he should run?
uh,
Personally, do you think he should run?
I do, and Bob, I'll tell you why. Um, and I know I'm kind of going against the polling on this, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't see. I think they don't want Biden to run. I think Biden has surprised so many people. And I do think there's ageism in this country. There's definitely ageism. That's been on him since, he took office. And that's always a sensitive spot for me because, I have super senior folks in my family. And, you know, people stay in the Supreme Court till they're 80, 90, and so forth. But for running their businesses, the Rupert Murdochs, they're 80s and they're, but Bob, I think that they want Biden to win. I think he has surprised people. I think that the numbers bear out, and I just don't know who. I think it would be such a boondoggle for them if he didn't run, and there's just nobody.
Well, who do you? But if he didn't, who do you think should?
Well, I know that the Vice President Kamala Harris would
I don't
run,
think she's ready. I don't
and
think she's ready.
also I think that a lot of people still want the senator. Bob having brain for the independent Bernie Sanders.
Oh, Bernie can go home, sit down
I
somewhere.
think a lot of people want Bernie Sanders.
No,
I like
he just as
Elizabeth
old
Warren,
as no man. He need
but
to sit down.
those folks are not going to run. I think that the Republicans did a great job with Kamala Harris's popularity when she first came out, but they knew how to work her and to get.
I don't think she's ready
sentiment
anyway.
there.
I don't think
But
she's ready anyway. But
but
this is what I think should run. I don't know if a lot of people know this guy, but Deval Patrick, who was the governor of Massachusetts. Anytime you can be a black man and be the governor of
Yeah.
Massachusetts, that's big. Governing a bunch of pilgrims. I mean, that's major.
Oh, Duvall was huge. I think Duvall missed his time. You know, he tried to get in the
Yeah,
race
time. He
this
waited too
last
late.
time,
He
and
waited too late. He
yeah,
waited
he
too late.
tried to get in that race last time, and I think he missed his time
Yeah, he waited too
with
late,
things,
Juan.
and not enough folks know him, no name recognition, and I just think that right now, you know, maybe Governor Wes Moore down the road,
Nah,
many
he's
people are
not
talking
ready.
about
Not yet.
him,
Nah,
but
not too early. Too early.
yeah, it's too early. There's no question about that. But I think Biden, I think he deserves another
I
run
mean,
at it. And
he
believe
still
me,
has
I
experience.
disagree with a lot of things Biden does and Mr. And his administration, but I don't think there's anybody that can beat him. But if they get Biden not to run, I think Republicans have a great chance of getting back in there.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think. I think the Democrats can put a monkey in that mug and beat anybody because the GOP is shooting themselves in the foot, man.
But just
Sure.
what you said, Bob, to your point, I think it was overall the polls show that I think 70% overall of Americans in polling uh, say no, don't run, and 57% of Democrats say no, don't run. Now, with that being said, the question you asked me, they don't talk about a lot of that, who would run and things. I still say um, everything he Biden has defied everything, Bob, where
Yeah.
that's concerned. I don't think that they're, you know, they have we have some things to run on, man. And Republicans crazy as hell. Excuse my vernacular, but
So on. So let's switch gears and go to our next topic, man.
mm,
Which is the state of the economy. You know, are we in a recession? Are we not? Now, the definition of a recession, I think you have to have 3 or 4 consecutive quarters of a negative. And I don't think we've had 3 consecutive quarters, but the market have been getting beat up. I mean, cryptocurrency dropped about 70%, but actually, believe it or not, cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoins, is back up. I mean, not from what it lost, but it is starting to go up. But the economy, Juan, is in a deep place right now. I mean, you know, it's
mhm,
weird because the unemployment rate is very low at 3.4%, if I'm correct,
that's right.
and inflation has came down maybe 1%, if
Mhm,
that, but it's down.
mhm,
And but the Treasury, the Federal Reserve, once again last week raised a quarter of a point, so that affects interest rates. But yet the economy, like the GDP and things like that,
mhm.
are running kind of good, but yet we're being threatened about a recession.
Yes, we are. Some people think, but it may be a soft landing for recession. That's the word I've heard
Yeah,
from
and I still don't know
economists.
what a soft landing mean. I hear them be
Right.
throwing that stuff
Mhm.
out, you know, psychological soft landing. But
Well,
I
Bob, can
know
you?
that interest rates on used cars and new
Right,
cars are up. But
right.
which is interesting, Juan,
Hmm.
interest rates were going up for mortgages, but now they're coming down. And then when I say coming down, like around 6%, but they got up as high as 7%, which they remember they were down to like 3% or high
Hmm.
twos. But that sounds like a lot, but no, you know, this mortgage is weird. It's come back down, and you know, savings accounts, you know, they're starting to
Right,
pay
right.
more money, but the economy is crazy. Then you have the Republican Congress threatening not to vote to raise the debt ceiling because actually, one a week ago, technically, we reached the debt ceiling, and I think it's 31. It was close to 32 trillion, in which
Right,
nobody's saying the majority of that was raised by Trump, especially with the tax cuts that weren't paid for and
right.
everything else. But no one talked about. They used to when Obama was in every day they talked about the debt. They
Every
talked about the
single day.
every single day. Now you don't even want they don't talk about it. And this is what the Republicans do. They run up the debt and then they get the Democrats to pay for it.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
is the oldest game in the book. But this
Hmm.
debt ceiling thing, Juan, is very serious because right now we're at the limit, but Treasury has some little tools that they can use to make sure that our bills are paid because that's what the debt ceiling, raising the debt ceiling is about, you all, is about being able to pay off obligation.
Obligations.
Like if you have a credit card, it's already money already been spent. And they, Congress, they play this game. Republicans, like they try to hold the Congress hostage like for 30 days. That was the last one. They try to stop the government, right, for 30 days.
Right.
But
Right. What could happen, Bob, if I'm not sure people really they hear this, but what sort of things can
well,
happen
this
if
is
the
how it
debt
works.
we don't pay it all?
This is how it works, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, the dollar, the bonds, the United States Treasuries, which is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government, they are the most valued government securities around the world. Now we're only paying 3%, and like people like Portugal and Greece paying 15% on their government bonds, but nobody's investing in them because they know they're shaky and they've defaulted. So 3% is really considered good. So our money is good right now around the world. But if we then default on paying on those bonds, then that will cause a global systematic financial catastrophe because everybody's investing in our bonds heavily. And if we don't pay it and we renege, that will start a domino effect and it will be major because now it's not just to America. We are a global economy now. And it will be
Catastrophic.
catastrophic is the word I'm looking for. So if we don't pay that because we were trusted, even though that's low debt because a lot of people complaining about America and our debt. But tell the truth, we were servicing debt at 3%. Just think about that. If you you had a loan or credit card and all you were paying was 3%,
Right.
that's low money, man. But we
That's
get ready to talk about. But Congress is playing this game. The Republican Congress, they're playing the game is they're trying to hold the Democrats hostage and Americans, mainly Democrats, to put these spending cuts in, and that's supposed to be the negotiations. We'll raise the ceiling debt if you have these spending cuts, which is they want to cut Social Security, Medicare. They even talking about Obamacare again. They are talking about not funding the FBI, not funding the IRS. I mean, help me understand this.
Well, Bob, let me ask you then, too, because I think a lot of people, especially folks just on that are not on just on Main Street, they don't see. They hear, we got to raise interest rates. We have inflation. We have to raise our prices. This is what all the companies have to do. Yet they announce gas prices will be going back up. Yet ExxonMobil just announced that they had record profits. It's hard for oil companies to break their own records. Record profits of 42 billion and Shell Oil for 50 billion. That's hard for the working person to say, wait a minute, yet we're having to sacrifice. These companies are making, I call it gouging. They will not use that word a lot, but I remember when Congress used to bring the oil company executives in and make them testify.
But it's not
that,
just
but they
oil
don't do that
companies,
anymore.
Juan.
Right.
It's corporations, period. They like grifters, man.
Oh, they grift, they gouging. Yeah, absolutely.
They raise their prices on us, but they say, well, we got to pay higher wages because people are demanding higher wages. So we then pass that along to the consumers, who are the people who are working. That's just crazy. Wait a minute, I'm working here at the corporation trying to make more money, and then you raise my salary, but Kellogg's raise the price of cornflakes. And I'm working at the cornflake factory, but you give me more money. But I'm like, come on, it's a wash.
So, Bob, what happened? How did this happen? And I won't belabor it. And this was another thing when you were talking about the economy, the jobs report, because a lot of people, they were waiting on it. They thought it was going to be a weak and a low number jobs report. And, they were ready to jump on Biden and slam this and slam that, the direction of the country. But they just added 517,000 new jobs. And this brings Biden's total of jobs in his first 2 years to 11.2 million. That is the most in history of any president in 2 years.
Right.
And so, I mean, if it was going the opposite way, we would be slamming and the country would be slamming him. And so you have to give him his flowers while he's here. That's stunning. And it shocked people because there are lots of layoffs being announced at some of the largest corporate
Right. That's
Google.
interesting. We're
Tesla,
gaining
right.
jobs, they're laying
But-
off people big time. I
But
mean, this is a
that
crazy economy,
doesn't.
Juan.
It's crazy economy, and maybe these are not these executive jobs, but believe me, they were not expecting over 500,000.
But well, let me tell you why the unemployment rate is so important, so people can understand these matrices, because they throw them out. The CPI, Consumer Price Index, all of these things affect the economy. But for instance, the unemployment rate, which is so important about that, to keep an eye on it, because when it's low, it favors the employees, right? Because that means that there's a lot of jobs out there. So the employer can't be pressing you and riding you, because now well, I don't need to take this because I can go and get another job.
Right.
When the unemployment rate goes up to 9 and 10 and 50%, it favors the employer, because now there ain't no jobs out there. They know they got you by the kahoonies, and that's how they work you. But when it's down, and that's what's so interesting. So the employees got them in a spot right now. They hit them back with the consumer products by raising the prices.
And labor is battling. Labor all over the world.
Yeah.
They protested in England and France.
No, Juan. What do you mean? I'm sorry. Let me know.
Well, I said labor. This is probably, they said, the most labor has fought back, for their rights and for their things,
right?
Worldwide, even.
So that's why I'm glad I want you to clarify what you say that labor is back.
So I was agreeing with what you said about
that, right, but no. Here's where I'm going with this, though, Juan.
Okay.
Because I want to clarify that statement. When you say labor is back, meaning as far as policy, as far as labor unions having power and being more. But this is the factor, Juan, that I want to give you this clarification. Labor, as far as actual workers working, is down around the world. It is a low labor rate. I mean, people working, labor is down. And look at it, because some of these McDonald's, you don't see too many black people working in McDonald's no more.
Right.
And labor across the world is down, Juan, and that's going to be affecting production. It's just like in China when they had the supply demand thing and the COVID hit, and all those workers couldn't work, and all of a sudden, what happened? The supply demand was just sitting there because they had nobody to work it.
Right.
But labor is down as far as physically people working. The world is struggling getting people. Look at some of these restaurants. I went to a restaurant the other day. I ain't going to say his name. I go in there. He said, I said, okay, me and my man. He said, I said, get a move. He said, can you sit at the bar? I said, well, no, my legs, man. I can't sit. Well, we only got one waiter. Now, this is a big joint.
Wow.
I said, one waiter?
One waiter.
I said, well, damn, can we just sit at the table next to the thing? He said, well, we only got one cook. I'm like, God dang. I said, I turned around and walked out because I said, wait a minute. And they got one waitress and one cook. And the mug who's serving the table is the cook. I don't want to be eating up in that joint, man. Big joint, Juan.
I stayed at a hotel like that one time. Everybody was doing everything. Checked us in.
Labor.
Got the food. Boy,
I don't want nobody touching my food. He taking my coat and hanging it up and shit and stuff. Cleaning my table. Then he goes back. Oh, I fixed your steak. How you want it? No, Juan. Labor is down. It's scary, man. It's across the board. But
we'll see. We'll see. What's happening? Yeah, it's going to be. It's going to be an interesting 2023.
Hey, so Juan.
Yes.
Before we, get out of here, we got a couple of more. And I really don't like talking about this subject because it's so tough, man.
Yeah,
but mass shootings, man.
Yeah, Bob.
Man, I mean, how many has it been, Juan, since January?
I think there have been 40 mass shootings
Since
just since the start of the new year, and
what's
that's
going
probably
on, Juan?
gone
Juan,
up.
Juan, what's going on? What's the solution? Is
Well,
this
and I agree with you, Bob. We won't belabor this. I think coming out of the pandemic, and I know blame it all on but I think coming out of the pandemic, I think that just some of the things you're saying, not everybody, it was good for folks. I think mental health is a problem. It always has been, I know, but there's also a fentanyl crisis that just came out. They are overdosing in schools. So
are you saying this is affecting the mass shootings? Is that
well,
where
I
you're
think
going?
that people's mental health is always, people are on the edge, Bob. That's the way I mean it. We talked about labor, we talked about some of the laws, some of the conditions, interest rates. And I think all of that affects the common person, if you will. But I think that people are on the edge. I mean, you all used to get on me about, Juan, do not holler at people. And when I was driving, I used to be in that.
Yeah, you road rage, yeah.
You try to, and I went to the store today, and the guy almost hit me coming this way and that way. But I think though people are on the edge, and they're very much on the edge. And the shootings, I mean, there were 3 in California within a day of each other, or something like that within the week. It's just it's terrible.
Help me with something here. I can kind of go with that, but I'm not one to be a conspiracy theorist. But if that was the case, people on the edge, I never could understand this. Why don't they just take themselves out?
Right.
I've always said that. Not a whole mass of people. So it's something psychological else going on there. Is it societal, cultural? But for these people to want to just take out people, I agree. But I
think it's all of that, Bob. And I don't know. I think we have a gun problem in the country, and I'm not. I'm not a gun.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
But I mean, Bob, a 6-year-old shot a teacher
in Alexandria, Virginia, right?
We're down in Virginia. A toddler is. And let me stick on the 6-year just for a minute. The teacher suing because they said that 6-year-old bought the gun before and has made threats before. I mean, I'm like, what kind of 6-year-old is this? And then how about that toddler in diapers?
When you say toddler, let's say what, 2 years old, 3?
I think it's 4.
He was that old?
I think it was 4. I think so.
Years old? No, this man had a diaper on.
You don't diaper on.
4 years
old.
He
looked like Bam Bam. He was swimming that gun
But he had carrying a gun while he was 2 months because it's 4 months. I mean, 4 years old. This man was about 2 months, 3 months with a diaper. Remember, he had a diaper.
No. But he was walking around out there in that hallway
with a gun with a 9mm.
I'm not laughing.
Well, what about the son whose mother didn't want to give him one of those virtual games, the thing they put on? 10 years old, right around Christmas. She wouldn't get it for him.
I vaguely remember that story.
Take your keys and go into a gun case, shoot her in the head, take her credit card, and go buy the video game.
Right.
You're trying him as an adult. They say this mother can do all of that.
Right.
But it's crazy, one.
Mental health is a problem, as I said.
Mental health is a problem. But the problem is, one, there's more guns than people in America.
More guns than people. And people will use these guns.
Let me tell you another one. Them ghost guns, where they make them, and you can't trace them when they go to the metal detector and all this stuff you can make with a printer and all this crazy stuff. Right. They're showing up more and more. What's the use of a ghost gun? Why are they not banning these things? Must get them in the mail.
Again, that's another
issue
that is easily exploited and used in politics. And I think that, now, Bob, and I'll make this connection and I'll leave it alone. There are Congress people like Green and these other ones who want to not have any, you should be able to carry a gun, no metal detectors, anything, onto the floor of the Congress. Now, it just had this January, so you know how crazy people are. Lauren Boebert sent out a Christmas card with their whole family with A15
AR-15.
rifles and things, the whole family. So there is a culture, there's a thing, man. So I think that we are in for a rude
But see,
awakening.
Juan, it's history repeats itself. It's like this is new. They tried this before, okay? They tried this thing. It was called the Wild Wild West. They said everybody get a gun, and that way you can. I'm like, wait a minute. We actually tried that before. And how did that work out for Mug? So it's not that they're gonna fool.
Well, open carry is really, spreading around the country, and
Oh
people like to
man,
carry these guns.
yeah.
I just can't imagine you bump into somebody in the store and they're, hey, and like they fire off and
How
shoot you.
about the teacher? Just one
Right.
kid, the teacher go off on the kid and shoot him or something. I don't know.
Right out here by our house, a guy walked across the street from an apartment building to one of those gas station marts and ended up shooting the guy who was just getting ready to move to another job. 60-year-old shot him, went back to his apartment, and they came to arrest him. They tracked him because he had been in the store before and found his girlfriend. And he didn't kill the child, killed his girlfriend, and she had been in there for a month there. So strange things. I haven't heard any more about it.
They're so on edge with the guns, Juan.
They are on the edge.
We're gonna hear about a mug winning the rob the bank.
There's gonna be more about
rob the bank with his finger and shit. So anyway, hey Juan, let's get off of that.
Let's hit the last and close it out, man. Let's go upbeat mode.
Yeah, no lie, but we had to talk about it because that's hot topics.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about sports.
Yeah.
What's the top of the sports, Juan? What's the top of the sports?
Well, as you mentioned in events, Tom Brady retired for a final time, and for good this time, so they say. And after 23 years, I mean, people call him the GOAT. He's GOAT. But there was some consequences for Brady. He did end up divorcing his wife, and I wonder, did he go 1 year too long? I was hoping for the brother who coached Tampa Bay, he could call up that magic, but I don't think he really went out the way he wanted to. I think he would have liked to gone out at least competing in a Super Bowl or something. But Brady retiring, and obviously, Bob, this Super Bowl matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs and two black quarterbacks, man. I think those are some of the biggest.
That's big.
That's a big and a hell of a game. I mean, these are both two good teams. Kansas City was there recently and won it, and this guy has won it and lost in the championship in a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts is one up and coming. So, hey, I think I'm just rooting for a competitive game, man, because I can't pick either one. I'm not partial. I'm happy to see these young men dispelling a lot of myths, but it's long overdue. And no matter who wins, they both win.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the Hamlin, the young man that collapsed on the field, that was tragic. But what a story! And he's back and talking, and that's really from a cardiac arrest.
But it really affects the sports world, Juan.
You know about that heart, Bob. You know about that.
That's the first time, heart. It's amazing that's for the first time that ever happened. But that brings back the issue, Juan, is football really risky and brutal.
Yes, it is.
Sport, with what is it, CTEs and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It really makes you start thinking about that. And a lot of those guys started thinking about their life a little different, Juan, after that happened, man.
And their parents, I think, of young kids who want to play football, I think they're rethinking some of that. I think some of the youth sports are down. Football.
Hey, Juan, do you know that I know that I had friends who work in the ER emergency rooms at some of the hospitals around town, like Howard and Baltimore. They said that some of the highest incidents of injuries happen around September. That's the beginning of the Little League football.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah, and I would wonder. I would like to see the attendance on football uh, these days. Is it dropping? You don't see. I mean, not the participation in football.
Oh, okay. Right, right,
I
right.
wonder,
Yeah,
is that
because
dropping,
it's still
man?
a popular sport. But yes,
Yeah, it's popular sport, but I wonder if
participation.
that,
I'd like to know
because I
that.
look at the high schools in the area in Washington D.C.
Oh, it's struggling in
Almost
our
don't even
area.
have football teams no more.
It's struggling in our area.
You see, in DC,
Yeah.
so and some teams, man. I remember one time, it's been gone. Must playing both ways. They had 17
Oh,
people
yeah,
on the
yeah,
whole football
yeah,
team.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but they don't give out those numbers.
yeah.
But I really wonder.
Well, a young man from Carroll High School just made a big signing. I think he was rated '1 in the
Oh,
nation. Yeah, and signed with South Carolina. He's a tight end and defensive end, 6'5", 235 in high school. And
South
they go, and they go,
Carolina.
and they're gonna move him to wide receiver. Yeah, yeah. I
Oh
think everybody
boy,
was after him in the nation. I think he was #1. I think Bob from
that's just
Carroll.
like somebody wanted to send their kid to play with Deion Sanders at Jackson State, or should I say Jackson, Mississippi. Good Lord. Anyway, Juan,
All right, all right.
we at the hour,
Yeah,
man.
yes, we are.
This
A
Juan, we covered a whole
whole
lot
lot,
in that little
and we
time.
left some things out. But
And we
yeah,
left some things out. But so if y'all want to talk about them, please put them in the comment box. But we here the first Sunday of every month at 6 p.m. on Point Opinions. We want to know your opinion. Please, put it in the comment box. Is some things you want us to address the next month? Please let us know. We're going to be on next month. We're going to
yeah,
look forward to seeing you and just wish y'all the best and have a wonderful 2023.
absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with my brother.
So y'all take it easy
Yes,
until we see you next month, the first Sunday on Point Opinion.
opinions. It's just our
Peace.